Hi, boys and girls, it's Mrs. Batliner, and I am excited today to share our story called Classified, The Secret Career of Mary Golda Ross, Cherokee Aerospace Engineer. Written by Tracy Sorrell and illustrated by Natasha Donovan. Remember, what is an author? An author is the person who writes the words, they write the story. And the illustrator is the person who draws the pictures. So looking at this illustration, I think it's absolutely amazing. Remember, this is the title page. It says the story, and it has the author and the illustrator. A note on Cherokee values. While a written guidebook on Cherokee values does not exist, important lessons have been taught by Cherokee families to their children across the generations. Mary Golda Ross's parents instilled the tribe's values in their children. Some of the values that shaped Mary included gaining skills in all areas of life, both within and outside the classroom, working cooperatively with others, remaining humble when others recognize your talents, and helping ensure equal education and opportunity for all. What great values that she had instilled in her. Do the best you can and search out available knowledge and build on it. I started with a firm foundation in mathematics and qualities that came down to me from my Indian heritage. Mary Golda Ross, April 2008. So she said that quote in April of 2008. Young Mary Golda Ross pushed her pencil across the page. Puzzling out math equations made her happy. Teenage girls in the 1920s weren't expected to enjoy or excel in math or science. Thumbs up if you enjoy doing math equations. When you get older in high school, looking at that illustration right there, you are going to have to do some math problems like that. She was happy to do them. But Mary did, and she blazed a trail for others. In the hills of northeastern Oklahoma, Mary's Cherokee tribe provided education for everyone. Her great-great-grandfather, John Ross, had served as principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. He helped create a school that later became a state teachers' college, which Mary began attending at the age of 16. So that was her great-great-grandfather. When the boys refused to sit next to the only girl in math class, Mary felt motivated to get better grades than they did. And she didn't stop there. So take a look. Back in the 1920s and 30s, math was only seen as boys doing it. But she was like, nope, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to show them that I can do better than they can. Holding true to her tribe's belief about gaining life skills in all areas, Mary took advantage of every opportunity to learn. In college, she majored in math, believing the world is so technical. If you plan to work in it, a math background will let you go farther and faster. So think about that, girls, and see if that still holds true. In whatever you major in, make sure that you are strong in math. After graduation, Mary taught math and science to high school students. Even then, she saw more ways to grow and contribute. Mary moved to Washington, D.C., where a supervisor at the Bureau of Indian Affairs noticed her talent. She was then hired to be the girls' advisor at the Bureau's co-ed boarding school in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The Cherokee value of instructing in a gentle, thoughtful way guided Mary as she encouraged the next generation of Pueblo and Navajo girls to learn and excel. So if you look there, you can find the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and you can follow that line to the Santa Fe Indian School, where she taught girls at that school. Mary soon found that others outside the classroom needed her math and science knowledge too. Take a look at that illustration and see if you notice what happened. Yeah, if you look at the newspaper in her hand, what does that newspaper say? Yeah, war begins. After the United States entered World War II in 1941, Mary left her teaching career and moved once again, this time to Los Angeles, California. Mary got a job as a mathematician for the Lockheed Aircraft Corporation. She helped solve a design problem affecting the safe operation of the P-38 Lightning fighter, one of Lockheed's fast-flying planes, and she enjoyed the research. So look at her there. She's figuring out the airplane and how to make it work the correct way. Put your pinky up in the air if that is something that would interest you. I think it would be very exciting, but I also think it would be a very difficult job. Now she wanted to design and build aircraft and spacecraft as an engineer. So she wanted to design those kind of planes, and she also wanted to build them. At that time, only men served as engineers in the large corporation. Mary thought back to when she was the lone girl in her math and science classes. She wasn't intimidated, but she knew she needed more training. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a big word, intimidated. Intimidated. Does anyone know what that means? Yeah, intimidated means that you're scared. So let's say I'm playing basketball and I have a person that is 7 foot in front of me. I may be intimidated that I would never be able to make a basket because that person is so tall. But in her case of with only the men, she was not afraid. She knew, though, that she needed to learn more. Mary focused. The company helped her take engineering classes at a nearby university. She had to balance her job duties and homework. Would the men Mary worked with accept her as their equal? I wonder. They did. Mary became Lockheed's first female engineer and helped other women join the field. So these men were awesome. Okay, they allowed her to work with them because they saw the talent that she had. She modeled the Cherokee value of working together in mind and heart. She shared her knowledge and asked questions to improve designs. Her male colleagues respected her intellect, her drive to solve problems, and how she worked as a team. None of them realized, though, what would come next. With World War II almost over, the race between the United States and the Soviet Union to reach outer space sped up. The company selected Mary to be one of 40 engineers in a super secret work team. Mary described their mission as taking the theoretical and making it real. What did that even mean? It meant Mary worked on projects that people had only imagined, and some no one had ever even thought of before. No vessel had ever flown nonstop around Earth, with or without a pilot. Flying beyond Earth? That seemed impossible. Determined, she and her colleagues would figure out how to do it. So boys and girls, she was part of the team that would build the rockets that would take the people in space in the 1960s. And what's exciting about that is no one had ever done that before. When Mary accepted the invitation to join Lockheed's top secret group, known as the Skunk Works Division, she knew most of her work would be classified. Today, a lot of it still is. Does anybody know what classified would mean? Yeah, classified means you cannot tell anybody about it. Not even your parents or your husband or your wife or your children, your friends. You could not tell anybody. That's how secretive it was. When Mary appeared on Guess My Job TV game show, she surprised the host when her line of work was finally revealed. Even though Mary worked on world-changing projects, she never sought the spotlight. Along with her colleagues, Mary researched orbiting satellites, like those that monitor weather patterns and send signals to televisions. She designed concepts for space travel to Venus and Mars. Her critical work on spacecraft later helped the Apollo space program send astronauts to the moon. But what if nobody ever knew her name or recognized her as the important engineer she was? So boys and girls, take a look at those illustrations. They're based for liftoff, excuse me, millions of living better thanks to moonwalks, suited up for space, walking 100 miles above Earth. So look at all of her drawings. That didn't matter to Mary. Her life reflected another Cherokee value, humility. Mary never bragged or drew attention to her skills. Her work, including helping to put a man on the moon, spoke for itself. Whenever Mary received awards, she always thanked her colleagues because she knew no one person deserved credit for what everyone had done together. That is a great job in humility that Mary had. And that simply just means that you don't say, I'm the greatest, I'm wonderful. It simply means you don't draw attention to yourself. Okay, and when she won an award, she thanked everyone who worked on it with her. Because if it were not for the other people that helped, they wouldn't have been able to be successful. In her quiet, steadfast way, Mary kept right on blazing a trail for others to follow for the rest of her life. Although her work was classified, Mary still had much to share. She never stopped recruiting American Indians and young women to study math and science and helping support them to become engineers. Mary's work and her legacy of service have helped many others become trailblazers too. So she encouraged other Indian women to become strong in math and science and helped them become engineers. All right, so getting back to our social studies and timelines, you can see that she was born in 1908, and then you can kind of go through the rest of all those different things that she had done. In 1950, she became the first official woman engineer of Lockheed's. In 1957, she had classified work. And then if you look at all the different things here, she passed away in 2008. She was just 3 months shy of her 100th birthday. In 2018, she is commemorated by Google with a Google Doodle on what would have been her 110th birthday. So whenever you go onto Google, in the middle there, you sometimes see animations and different things. Those are called Google Doodles. And she was a Google Doodle one time that would have celebrated her 110th birthday. And in 2019, she was selected as an honoree of a design for the United States Native American dollar coin with the theme American Indians in the Space Program. So in 2019, she was put on a Native American dollar coin. Right? And if you look at that picture on the left, okay, that is what Mary looked like in 1993. An author's note, which is super important. As a child, I loved reading biographies from my school library. Slim volumes shared the lives, important work, and struggles of men and women, nearly all of them white. Yet I knew the Cherokee Nation had many citizens serving others and succeeding in their profession, but their stories remained untold. Mary Golda Ross is one of those Cherokee citizens, remaining true to her tribal upbringing while contributing her intellect and skills to the greater world. To write this story, I visited with her cousins, Bruce Ross, who shared that I should visit the archives at her alma mater, Northeastern State University, to complement the research I had already done. Being able to hold Mary's slide rule, read through notebooks she filled with equations, and thumb through books she referenced as she worked gave me an even greater appreciation of Mary's vision, research, and work ethic. Her story deserves to be shared. Along with Mary Golda Ross, my mother and I participated in the Native Nations procession at the National Museum of the American Indians opening day in 2004. I only wish I had known she was one of the elders there within our large Cherokee Nation delegation. I regret not being able to visit with her in person that day and thank her for being a trailblazer for so many. Mary drew on her status as the first known Native American female engineer to make sure those coming after her would be welcome in math and engineering. She strongly supported the American Indian Science and Engineering Society with vocal and financial backing. Mary gave talks to high school and college students, encouraging young women and Native Americans to get a firm foundation in math and train for technical careers. She lived the Cherokee values she had been raised with, benefiting us all in doing so. So the neat thing about when someone writes a biography, what they have to do is they have to research about the person so that the biography is as true as possible. So if you look here, this is the author's source notes where she got some of her information from. There's a bibliography. So you notice she really, really, really did a lot of work on making sure that this story was very true to the life of Mary. I found it interesting that the dedication page is in the back of this book. So the author dedicated this for future engineers, mathematicians, and scientists. Do the best you can. As Mary would say, I'm rooting for you. And the illustrator dedicated the book for Mrs. Barbara Sunday and all the teachers at Sentinel Secondary who encouraged me to follow an unusual path with gratitude. So I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you realize that you should never let anyone get in your way. You should not be intimidated to try something new and to reach for your best potential in anything that you want to do. I hope you enjoyed our story, and I will see you the next time.